Well, I got distracted during, but you're going to forgive me. I wasn't doing a jigsaw. Look, take a little look. Look.
Oh my goodness!
That's allowed, isn't it?
Gorgeous dog.
It's a gorgeous dog. So let's introduce you. This is Hugo, and Yvonne is here as well. Morning, Yvonne.
Hi.
No, we're doing that, but we're all talking about the dog. We'll explain why you're both here, because it's such an important story, because you are preparing Hugo to be a guide dog for the blind.
Definitely.
We will explain fully.
Yes.
Yeah, if you were watching us last week, you may have seen an interview with our BBC colleague, Sean Dilly. Now, we were discussing the retirement of his beloved guide dog, Sammy.
Yes, Sean told us how, because of delays caused by COVID, the wait for replacement guide dogs is much longer than usual. Remind ourselves of what Sean said then.
I mean, it's important I say I'm not speaking for guide dogs. I say that because I volunteer as a fundraiser for them. But I think the biggest thing speaking to them about it is they've lost a third of their volunteer puppy raisers. Those numbers, they're stark.
And what do you have to do as a puppy raiser? Just to
you have to have a dog for, yeah, absolutely. So you have to have a dog from about 8 to 12 weeks old, roughly, I believe, all the way through to 14 months. Now, these people are heroes. They have the dogs when they're chewing things, when, you know, they're making maybe puddles in supermarkets, and they have. So I'm really sorry about the dog. But what they do is they have them during the hardest time. And I think at the moment, the idea of anybody who's sort of willing to come forward and say, hey, listen, we're going to do that, and potentially, I mean, it changes my life. And I just have to say, if you've done that past or present, thank you.
Well, the response to Sean's story has been incredible. Since Friday last week, 110 people contacted the charity Guide Dogs UK, offering to train the next generation of puppies, around 5 times more than they'd usually expect.
So I'm very pleased to say Sean joins us once again from Stevenage. Morning to you, Sean.
Morning. Now, the trains are on strike, guys, so you're in my living room. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Sean. And as you saw a moment ago, Hugo is here. A guide dog in waiting. Is that an official term, Yvonne? Guide dog in waiting?
Yes, you could use that term.
So where are you in the training process?
We've had him since 8 weeks old, so he's been doing an awful lot of training over the last 9 months.
How old is he now?
He's 11 months old now on Saturday, so...
And when will you be handing him over?
He'll go to big school, as I call it, when he's about 14, maybe 15 months old.
So it's coming up now?
Yes, definitely, coming up fast.
Yeah.
Is he your first one?
Yes.
OK, so it's brilliant what you're doing, and so important. As Sean will tell us and has told us before, how are you preparing for when he goes to big school and leaves you?
I keep telling myself he is going on to change somebody's life for the better, and that's his destiny, and he needs to fulfil it. So, yeah, I keep telling myself that. It will be hard. Obviously, we have to get a bond with them for them to follow the cues and the training that we give them. And you love them and you nurture them, but you need him to go on to do what he was trained to do and what he was bred to do.
Can I just say, you really he needs to calm down.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like a wild dog. I mean, come on.
He's ultimate chill, isn't he?
He's now lounging very comfortably. Did you see Sean when he was on the programme?
I did last week,
What did you make of that? He's listening, by the way.
I think it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, it was a very emotional talk, and I know how much these dogs mean to the guide dog owners.
Is there anything you want to say to him?
I think, Sean, I'm absolutely thrilled that you gave the talk that you did, because it has helped guide dogs so much in getting the puppy raisers that they need. And I hope you get your guide dog, your new guide dog soon, because we're doing our best to get them out there for you guide dog owners. So... Well,
I'm going to try not to... I don't think I'm going to blub today, so can I just say, because this is quite important, anybody who consumed any of the content last Friday, I'm sorry, because I think it was an important story to hear, but I'm sorry because it would have been quite traumatic to watch, such as the bond. But, you know, I just think the people who do not just puppy raising, but the other volunteer roles, because some people might look into it. 110 people applied very quickly. The number's higher than that. I don't have them in front of me, but it's significantly higher than that as we speak. You know, it might be that your working pattern doesn't suit it. So I believe what's happened is that guide dogs are kind of nabbing hold of people and saying, well, actually, maybe puppy raising is or isn't the role for you, but there are, I think, something like 20 other roles, but all of them make a difference to what it is they do. So what is it that you notice that guide dogs does? How does it make you feel, and for me, it gives me the independence and the yearning to do something. Obviously, many people have said I'd like to raise a puppy, and you're heroes. And Yvonne, thank you so much.
Sean, you know, when Yvonne was saying, I mean, I find it amazing that someone can have a bond with a creature that is, you know, so gorgeous, especially like this one, and give them away. And Yvonne said, you know, it's for something better. Can you just explain the difference it makes to your life?
Yeah, I mean, I can. You're in my living room, and I'm very lucky to kind of make it as creature comforty as I can. I'm having to schedule stuff in on days off. I'm not working today. It looks like I'm a bit, but I'm not. So it's having to kick myself out of the house. I'm spending probably longer than I would in the house. The idea of with my guide dog, and that would be Brandy in August 1999, Chip in December 2006, and Sammy in 2014. It means I can live my life, basically. And you don't think about going out. So the differences with a cane, I actually find myself with the mother of all headaches by the time I get to work in central London. I feel like I've worked half a shift, and my head is pulsating with the mental exhaustion. And as I mentioned the other day, people to be helpful, but they're grabbing hold of you, which is really disconcerting. Never touch someone who's blind or visually impaired without talking to them first. If anybody tells you otherwise, say you're wrong, because it is terrifying. However, Yvonne, what you're doing, and what all the other puppy raisers watching now, and not just for guide dogs, there are assistance dog charities out there, people puppy raise for different charities, but you're giving me an independence that takes anybody, without wishing to use cliches about from dark spots and all of that, but it brings light into my life. And I'm waiting for the right dog at the right time. I don't want it before it's my turn, but until that time comes, I know my life is not going to be anything like complete or frankly that enjoyable, but we'll get there with the right dog.
Yvonne, if you can just get Hugo to look at, which camera is it? Camera
Elliot,
Camera
over
6
there.
there.
Got him.
Look at that. Look at that. That he's just following all instructions. Yvonne, just tell us a little bit about, because obviously the specialist training comes in. That's the next step. You know, if anyone watching this is thinking, you know, do I have to do anything unusual in relation to bringing up a dog if it's going to go to a blind person? What do you need to do? How does the dog need to be prepared?
Well, we teach them all the usual things that we would a dog, you know, sit, come, stay and all that. But every 3 weeks, Hugo goes to puppy class, and he absolutely adores puppy class. Not only for the socialisation, but also, come on, but also it gets him to meet other guide dog owners and other guide dog puppies and socialise that way. As you can see, he loves being around people. And so he does specialist training there. Hugo, can come over here.
You've got a treat. Don't interrupt. Don't
Yeah.
interrupt when he's...
Yeah, so they do specialist training at the puppy classes. And obviously when he goes on to training school, he'll then be fitted with his harness and learn what he needs to do to be with his guide dog owner.
What's Hugo telling you now? Has he had enough?
He's telling me that he's not quite sure about the light. Hey, do you want a nugget? Here we go. Come on then. So yeah, we do a lot of specialist training as he's doing it now. He's just completed his training, so he can go on the train now.
Ah.
And so yeah, he can go on the train whenever he wants now, and he's done his buzz training. So we have to do all that. He goes into cafes, shops, so he has to learn how to behave in shops and cafes, and he absolutely loves that. You know, he just loves meeting the people. I will go into our local shop, and they all know Hugo, and I don't think any of them know my name.
Well, Sean, I don't know. Can you always tell straight away with a? I don't know how much, you know, how involved you are in the process earlier on, but can you always tell which dogs are going to work? How, you know, who's, because some of them clearly it will not work out. That's necessarily the case, isn't it?
It is. So look, the process is this. They're bred in Leamington Spa in the Midlands. I believe I am right in saying Guide Dogs is the largest breeder of dogs in the UK. Obviously, they stopped during the pandemic. When they're about 12 weeks old, give or take, they'll go to wonderful volunteer puppy raisers like Yvonne, and they're going to have to do the really difficult part. So that's when the assessment comes in. They have puppy raising supervisors. They're looking for dogs that are motivated by toys and fun stuff, but not so motivated that they're going to be distracted by a teddy bear and drag you under a bus. Then at the end of that time, they go to somebody called a guide dog trainer. These are internationally trained people. They work for guide dogs, and they same role around the world. they'll spend roughly, somebody will correct me, but about 12 weeks, 3 months, something like that, getting them used to the harness, and then they'll go at that point to what's called pick-up point, technically, to a guide dog's mobility specialist. And they do degree level international qualifications, not just in advanced dog training, but in visual impairment, and might have an idea in terms of how balance could be affected. And at every stage along the way, if a guide dog's not suitable to be a guide dog, there are alternative careers such as buddy dogs, for example. So I met a most wonderful young chap some years ago who was a recipient of a buddy dog. It doesn't guide, doesn't have the access rights into shops and things, but it gives that independence looking after a dog. And so there are so many opportunities to see, is this dog suited to it? Because here's the biggest myth. Some social media comments saying, oh, how can a dog be a guide dog? Isn't that terribly awful to do to a dog? No, they love it. They love it to pieces. We're a partnership. We would give our lives for each other. And if a dog isn't enjoying their guide work, they're simply not a guide dog. They get so much running around and playing in what's called environmental enrichment.
Sean, I think you've probably inspired some more people to help again. Well done, Sean Dilly.
We'll tweet the figure later.
Thanks for having us in your home. Thank you.
Yvonne,
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit more, Yvonne, and Sean's sort of gone through some of the detail about how it works in practice. In terms of the emotional thing, Naga sort of referenced to you before, is that it's quite an emotional turmoil for you, isn't it?
It will, and I will cry. Especially such an amazing dog as Hugo, because he has been absolutely brilliant. But, like I say, he's destined for a job.
Would you do it again?
Oh, yes, yeah.
That's it now.
They've
But at
told
least
me we can have another puppy straight afterwards. And going on from what Sean said, I mean, guide dogs are absolutely thrilled to bits, and I'm thrilled to bits about the number of people that have taken up the puppy raising role. And I know guide dogs were absolutely blown away with the response. But if people think that that's too much of a commitment for them, there are other roles within guide dogs, such as fosterers and things like that. And I know they need lots of fosterers at the moment.
Yvonne, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Lovely to
bringing
see
in
you.
Hugo.
It's lovely meeting you too.
Hugo, just having a little bit more quiet time now. Just
There you go.
relaxing. There we go.
Nice, calm image while we get you to get an update on the news wherever you are this morning.